So, Simon, it's about 5 weeks to the start of Property Portal Watch Madrid. For anyone who doesn't know, could you give us a quick overview, a quick rundown of what attendees of the conference can expect?
Sure. So, Ed, first of all, thanks very much for having a bit of a chat about the conference. The Property Portal Watch conference has been going for about 14 years. We've got 350 C-level leaders from around the world in both the prop tech and real estate marketplace space. They get together. We do three of these a year, and Madrid's our largest conference. And we get everyone together to really discuss the key issues facing the industry. And the theme that we have for this conference is all about next-gen prop tech and property marketplaces. So the objective is, if you come, you'll get to find out a lot about what other people are doing around the world, not from sales guys, not from people just pitching their business, but actually from the C-level leaders discussing the real issues that they're facing and how they're approaching growing their businesses.
All right, one thing I've been curious about for a while is the origin story, because correct me if I'm wrong, Property Portal Watch has been going on for 14 years now. What made you want to start doing it? What made you want to get all of these real estate portals in a room and have them tell each other about their businesses?
Okay, that's a good question. So when I left the REA group about 14 years ago, I'd spent the last maybe 3 years of my tenure there, and I was there for 8 years, building international businesses, whether it was in the United Kingdom, Luxembourg, Dubai, and so on. And through that process, I met a lot of people. And I realized that we were all going through very similar journeys of the businesses. Although the companies were Australian-focused company or a French-focused company or whatever, when you talk to the leaders, the issues are very similar that are being faced. So I decided in 2009 at I can't remember, it was the New York or San Francisco Inman conference. I think it was the New York one. So early in the year, to basically put on a one day before the Inman conference. I said, anyone who's coming to the Inman conference, we negotiated a room with the Inman guys. They were very happy to do it because we're bringing some other people from overseas to their conference. And we had about 33, 34, 35, I don't know, somewhere around that number. And we just had no agenda. We spent the day really talking about businesses, what's happening, sharing war stories, sort of creating an agenda on the fly, followed by a really great meal at the end of the day. And I think that was the starting point of creating this. And then here we are, 38, 39 conferences later. We've had them in for about 10 different venues around the world. And it's 350 C-level leaders, which is the important point here. These are the guys who make decisions. These are the people who have really got the finger on the pulse, from both large companies such as Adevinta, the Aviv Group, OLX Brazil, right through to startups, people who are literally 3-6 months old and who are trying to make their way in the prop tech and property portal space.
And how's it changed in 14 years? I mean, obviously you've gone from a few people in a room with no agenda to what it is now, which is 350 people. But how's it changed, I guess, for you running it? How have you seen it change over 14 years?
The key changes have been quality of people. So now we've got, as I said, C-level leaders from a lot of these companies coming every year, sometimes multiple times a year, as we do them in Bangkok, Miami, and Madrid. The second is the number of people. We're now 10 times the size, and we sort of like it around that. We don't want to be one of these 2,000 attendee type places where no one ever gets to meet anyone. And one of the key objectives is networking. So the thing that's been very consistent from the beginning has been networking, but it's the quality and quantity of people that are turning up, and then the topics that we're talking about. And honestly, if we go back to 2009, the big issues were the Machulas of the world scraping sites. Is that good or bad for the industry? As an example, to here we are today talking about AI and how that's fundamentally going to change the way people search for property.
Okay. One thing that really struck me when I first started attending these things about 3 years ago is the level of community. there are people that were there 14 years ago in that little room that come to pretty much, or have come to pretty much every conference for 14 years. And a lot of people who, from different places around the world seem to know each other because of these conferences. Is that something that you're proud of? Is that something that keeps you doing it?
Well, yeah, man, proud of. I don't know about that. I mean, for me, it's the objective has been, how do I get the people in, say, EMPG as an example, from out of Pakistan, Zameen, in the early days, and clearly grow the business, to form really good relationships with people in Spain or in other markets that would be relevant. And that's been one of the key things, is those relationships have formed, and by doing that, that's created opportunities for them to grow their businesses. And so, yeah, I think it's probably one of the best elements of doing the conference, apart from fantastic content, is that we really invest in getting everyone to get together. We have lunches, and all the breaks are done where the sponsors are, so that people don't run off and have meetings separately, but they arrange to interact and interconnect with each other at those times. And of course, everyone is invited to all the evening events, okay? So that there is no reason why they can't turn up. And then we use technology like the networking apps and so on to ensure that people can find the right people to talk to. And the last thing that we often do in these conferences, and is not often done elsewhere, is that we actually, when people reach out and said, hey, look, I want to meet these people, I'll do introductions. Okay, I'll send a quick email and say to someone, hey, look, you should chat with this person about their business. And then they'll set up meetings, and who knows where that goes. So yeah, the networking is critical.
That is one thing I keep hearing consistently, even before I went to Property Portal Watch, was about deals getting made, people finding investors. Even recently, I heard about a company that changed their business model because of Property Portal Watch. You must, I guess, know about quite a lot of these kind of deals that go on. Are there any that stand out for you that got made, maybe either because of Property Portal Watch or at Property Portal Watch over the years?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of them, and some I've been part of, some I just know of, in history, because it sort of happened, and I find out that these two happen to be having a chat about their two businesses, and lo and behold, they merge. So two opportunities that have really come out of this for me personally. So I'm going to talk something that I can put my hand on. One was getting connected with Brian Reckwath in the early days. So this was back around 2000 and around sort of 2007, 2008. I got him to come to one of the first ones, and that's where he convinced me to invest in his what was then Viva Real business. Actually, it wasn't even then. It was called bilingual marketing. Is what it was called. It wasn't even called Viva Real. It was called bilingual marketing, and had a business model that I didn't quite understand, but I had a very good feeling about the guy and his capacity to find something that does work. And if you follow it over the years, it went from those very early stages to exiting for 700 million US to OLX in Brazil through some mergers and such. And then the second one I think is also a good story, is the Machula story. I got involved in Machula in the early days because I met the three founders, and that was at an Inman conference, and they also came to the Property Portal Watch, or whatever we were calling it in those days. I don't know what we called it in those days. Agreement, and then over time that allowed me to get more connected with them. I led to an investment. And then, over that journey, Lifeful came along, okay, as also did Dot Property and a bunch of other businesses, which then got purchased by Mature along the way. And then this relationship with Lifeful developed, and we spent a lot of time with Keizo from Lifeful, and Takashi, who's the CEO, has been to a few of the Property Portal Watch conferences, and that led to the sale of the Mature Group to Lifeful in about 2019, I think it was. I can't remember the date now. 2018, 2019. And that's just, the fact that you're getting together with these guys 2 or 3 times a year. And you can spend time not only in sessions, but outside having meetings, and then, having a drink with them. really build a good relationship, then allow for deals to be done over it. And actually, the more I think about it, there have been a lot of deals that have been done, good ones, not so good ones, but that's life.
Yeah, a lot of these businesses do seem to sort of, if not do the deal at Property Portal Watch, they kind of start to get cognizant of, oh, a deal might be able to get done here because of Property Portal Watch. One question I wanted to ask you, it seems to me that a lot of these real estate portal companies are kind of myopic, they're kind of short-sighted, they're interested in what's going on in their market and not so interested in what's going on in other markets. Why do you think it's so important for them to get out of their comfort zone, get on a plane, come to a conference, hear from other similar businesses?
I think you've actually hit the nail on the head with the question. Yes, a lot of what's happening in a market is relevant to that market. But if you look at France and you look at Spain, you look at Italy, the underlying elements are still the same. You still have a buyer, you still have a seller, you still have a landlord, you still have a renter. Okay. And your job is to make that process as fast and as efficient as possible. You might take some slightly different ways to do it. You might have some different regulatory requirements in that process. And so what happens is when someone gets out of their own bubble, right? Because if you're in your own bubble, the best you can do is the knowledge that you collectively build. Okay. So if you happen to have, 3 Einsteins in there, you'll probably go a long way. If you happen to have some people who are really learning about the industry, you might not go as far. But when you then go from your bubble and then join the bigger bubble, where you've got a whole bunch of people who are basically solving the same problems. Can I get into mortgages? Can I do mortgage leads? Should I go into the transaction? What about iBuyer model? Okay. Listening to other people who either have done it and succeeded, done it and failed, the lessons that they've learned in that process can help ensure you move in the right direction and help you limit your mistakes. So that's the way to think about it. Understanding where the right direction is, the compass, where am I going to go? And then the clock is like, well, you don't want to, if you limit your mistakes, you optimize your time. So I think the clock and the compass is a good analogy there. That the conference is really helping people get the right direction and get progress in that direction as fast as possible. And then you come back 3 months or a year later, depending on the process, the conference you want to go to, and you can recalibrate what's worked, what's not worked. Okay. And finally, hopefully you've built the good network so that you can then pick up the phone and say to the guy who's another part of the world who has done a similar thing is, hey, how's that going? Right. Or I have this mistake, and did you have the same issue? How did you approach that problem? And so on. So that's how I think it makes a lot of sense to get out of your bubble and listen to what people are saying from around the world. And the topics we've put on for this conference, which is coming up in about 5 weeks, is really around what's next gen, and the topic of AI will be big. It was big in Miami, it was big in Bangkok earlier this year, and I know it's getting bigger and more relevant to portals and prop tech companies around the world.
Okay, final question from me. Property Portal Watch Madrid from the 4th to the 6th of October. Can you give the people a few good reasons why they should come in 30 seconds?
Yep. 350 C-level leaders who have built everything from a startup to multi-billion-dollar businesses are going to be in the room. You'll network with them so that you can then learn from them and share your experiences with them. If you're looking to raise money, there are investors in the room. If you're looking to partner with people, there are companies in there that are either suppliers who can help accelerate your business, or there are other companies that look like you, and there are opportunities to actually merge or work together to grow your business faster. I mean, the reason we do this is to really help companies become something so much bigger than they are today. And if we can help them in that journey, that's fantastic. And so we hope that everyone can join us and come not only to learn, but to also share your experiences. And that's what makes this conference unique, is that the quality of the material and the quality of the people that you will meet are second to none.
All right, Simon, I look forward to seeing you and everybody else here in Madrid in about 5 weeks' time. Thank you for talking to us.
Yep. And thank you very much. And I'll be there for the 39th time. It's worth coming.